manager thought my job role was unnecessary, learned the hard way it wasn't. About 20 years ago, I worked in the technology field as a sales engineer, supporting sales reps. A new sales rep manager joined the field team and didn't like the control sales engineers had over the sales process. Because I was the lead sales engineer, he decided to make me an example of his brilliance. He got a very large lead with a bank and proceeded to close a very large deal without involving any sales engineers at all. Just after the deal closed, he called to gloat, saying something to the effect of, "The biggest deal this month. Oh wait, you did not participate at all." About a month or so later, I get a call from that manager, in a bit of a panic, and I partake in a conference call with a customer. It is decided I need to come to the company for a meeting. At the meeting I figure out the sales manager and the sales rep totally fucked things up and sold the customer an incompatible set of solutions. In the meeting I casually mentioned that maybe the customer could return one bit of stuff and replace it with another as they were roughly the same price. After the meeting, sales manager starts bitching at me for mentioning price. Price was the exclusive domain of the sales rep. He calls my manager, shit all over me. I didn't like my manager at all, so when he took the sales rep's side, I said F you and quit. I send a very lengthy defense of my actions during the meeting to HR. 4 months later I get a call from another sales rep still at the company. He asks, "Hey, what happened at his bank? They are suing us." I calls his bank and get the email for the SHIO and send them a letter explaining I was the sales engineer for the company you are suing. Call me. They eventually sent a lawyer to interview me and get my side of events. My testimony was devastating to my former company's defense. I showed the bank the letter I sent my HR, in which I claim our company lied to the customer to get a sale. Eventually I get a subpoena to be deposed in the bank versus company lawsuit by my former company's lawyers. By that time I was working elsewhere and hanging out on Yahoo stock message boards and bashing the company's stock. One day another sales rep from a distant territory that I still talk to called me to say that a huge deal we had worked on for over a year had just fallen through in dramatic fashion. I posted it to the Yahoo message board devoted to that stock. The stock crashed 13 the next day. I wondered if my post had anything to do with it. About 6 weeks after the stock crash, it's the day before I am supposed to get deposed in the bank versus company matter, I get served with a lawsuit by the company. They had used the SLAPP laws to get my identity from Yahoo and sue me for the post that crashed their stock. So I went to the deposition the next day and said, "I'm sorry, the company you represent today just served me with a lawsuit last night. This deposition is over." They were dumbfounded. Turns out there were two separate legal teams, one working on defending the company against the bank suit, and one finding that pesky internet troll that crashed their stock. And the two never noticed the same person was central to each. The company settled with the bank and dropped their suit against me soon thereafter. That long letter I sent to HR, turns out the managers above me didn't read it. Once the lawsuit was over, the sales rep, the sales manager, and his manager were all fired. Edit follow on story. When I quit, I also sold my internet options at AF. I got someone fired twice. Bit of a long one, but my first post, and it's fresh off the pot. So I've been working in advertising for about 8 years now. Back in my old agency, we hired someone new to handle digital for a couple of small-time clients as she was new to the industry. Let's call her EC Evil Crap. She didn't last long as she had attitude problems and would regularly make major mistakes and repeat them. So after 6 months, I told her that it's not going to work out, but that we thank her for being with us. Basically no hard feelings. I never burn bridges. And I was still kinda junior in my middle management career. A couple of years later I left that agency and started doing my own thing, but then settled as head of digital at a new agency that had a small client SC but one that had a big global name. Their retainer was pretty low, and I had told the managing director MD that it wasn't a client worth keeping if they wouldn't increase their retainer by at least 15%. But my agency insisted that they're a good name to keep. Whatever, I didn't invest too much time into it. A few weeks later the client hires a new digital manager, and it turns out to be EC, and she gives me this smirk in our first meeting. I'm not new in the industry so I don't really take it too seriously, but she tries to make life hell for my employees. Constant angry emails, and unrealistic expectations. But in my face she was always nice. She would even send me private WhatsApp messages thanking me for the good work, but sending huge criticisms via email with her boss CC'd. She thought that just because she's my client I was scared or something. Anyway, fast forward a couple of months, and she sends an email to the MD, whom I directly report to, and says that I haven't given any care to the account. And that there are too many things going wrong, that I should be adding value to the account. I tell my boss that they only pay for 2 hours per month of my time, and that I'm giving them 1 day a week, more than generous, and that she is being unreasonable with her demands. Honestly, she's kinda a bugger, but that's another story. Anyway, my boss asks to be looped into emails moving forward, pissing me off, but whatever. After 3 days he sees how ridiculous it's getting and says to me, I've had this account for 12 years, I'm not about to let EC ruin it. Do what you can to take her down. I comply. She didn't take into account that our contract ended in exactly 1 month from the moment I got the green light to screw her over. And if she didn't have an agency to take over the account, she would definitely be under serious scrutiny from her management. Her boss had no idea how much time I've put into the account, and how much time the team has invested, so I make sure I keep timesheets, records, and rounds of feedback she's given. We had an agency review meeting 3 days before contract extension, and I present the 2019/20 strategy and contract with a 130% increase in the retainer. Her and her boss freak out and are like, what? No way. How could you even present that? I show her boss all emails, all WhatsApp conversations confirming what she wants to be delivered for the year, and say that we won't take them on as a client if they're not willing to pay what's worth. I even slipped in some of the nasty WhatsApps she sent to my employees where she said at one point, take it up with your boss if you don't like it. My MD started to freak out after the meeting and told me that he didn't expect me to do that. He was so nervous that he was about to lose an account that isn't even 5% of the company's revenue. 2 days later, they ask if we'd be willing to take the same retainer for less work, as the demands made by EC were not beneficial to the company and that they have let her go 4 months after hiring her. We agree, and move on. Ideally, we would have ended the relationship, and I would have freed time to win new businesses, but that didn't happen. I've since quit this job hoping to find EC somewhere else, because third time's the charm XD. Send me spam mail? Let me beat you at your own game. This story is 11 short paragraphs long. No apologies for grammar and formatting cause I have no excuse for mistakes. TLDR at bottom. A local car dealership sent my mom a letter asking to buy her car, 3-year-old car she's had since it was brand new on a dealership lot. She has sentimental value to her beautiful car and took very good care of it, so she was offended by the letter and tossed it in the recycling pile, where I found and read it. The letter included a 25 coupon off a car at their dealership. It had very little text, not anything that says that you can only use one at a time. I hatched a plan on the spot. I live in a small town where everyone knew everyone. I started asking everyone I knew if they got any similar 25 coupons, and sure enough, quite a few other people did. The local dealership was sending these letters to everyone. Each time I asked a person if they had them, I also asked them to ask everyone they know, so the word got out quick in town and I had a few dozen people giving me their 25 certificates, some free. Some people sold them to me for like 5. Soon, I had nearly $1,000 worth of these 25 coupons. I decided to play the long game. I did need a better car myself, and the dealership actually had some good cars that I was interested in, so I paid a few visits there, looked at cars and talked with the owner. It was one of those stereotypical shady dealerships that try and scam young clueless adults, old people and soldiers into buying overpriced cars with mechanical issues. Not even a week later, he's already sending another letter to half the town, with more 25 coupons. I again began collecting everyone else's 25 coupons. This guy was sending these promotions out on a weekly basis and it was a huge burden on the local post office. But word was out all over town that I wanted them all, so I practically had people lined up to give me theirs. 2 months after the first letter that came out, I had accumulated 10 grand worth of these 25 certificates. I read enough illegal advice to know that I should get a lawyer to check the local laws. I went to the local's lawyer office, who referred me to another lawyer, who researched the laws about these kinds of promotions and confirmed that a judge may side by us in a civil courtroom. The lawyer and I walked into the dealership with a drawstring bag full of these coupons. Sat down in the owner's office and spilled them out on his desk and demanded one of the cars off his lot essentially free. The owner of course refused and was clearly upset when the lawyer carried out his spiel on laws and such, saying that this was legal cause of his laziness in not having additional notes. We did not walk out of there on good terms. We filed a lawsuit against him. Once he had been served, my lawyer called him and informed him that if this case reached the courtroom, the entire town would hear about it and nobody would ever buy from there again. The owner's lawyer sent a letter a week later to negotiate giving one of his cars to me for free to prevent the press hearing about it. The owner and my lawyer signed a bunch of paperwork at the dealership and I got a decent car free, minus a few small govt fees, in exchange for trading in my other car. The word got out anyways and everyone else started hoarding their 25 certificates until the dealer added limitations to the coupons, and then everyone else stopped going to his dealership. He closed in within a year and I got a free car out of it. All cause he pissed my mom off by trying to buy her car. TLDR, local dealership spams town with 25 coupon promotions in the mail. I collect them all and buy a car for free off him with 10 grand worth of vaguely worded 25 off coupons.